Assalamu alaikum, wonderful viewers. Welcome here on Kuonko TV. I am your host, Ajira Musise, on Lived Experience. So here we have our guests, and then we'll have them introduce themselves, and then we dive into what brought them here. So let's just keep the cat in the back, and then allow them to introduce themselves.
Good morning, viewers. My name is Edward Mendy, a major in political science in the University of the Gambia.
Good morning, wonderful listeners. My name is Hamadiba, third year student at the University of the Gambia, majoring in development studies. And thank you so much for having us.
Good morning, viewers. I am Paul Abdul, a fourth year political science major, and thank you for having us.
So in today's program, we shall delve with living, dreaming, and surviving in today's Gambia. And then we'll have our wonderful guests to talk more on these. I guess as Gambians, we've gone through a lot, not just as Gambians, but then the world at large. So then we just thought of talking about something that we all have been going through, yet still not talk about it. Yet still we choose silence over delving into them. So my first question to our guest is, how would you describe the reality many Gambians are living today?
Well, many of the realities that Gambians are forced to live on are basically they are forced to cope in difficult situations, especially in terms of like economic difficulties faced by Gambians. So we tend to like be exposed to certain realities that are like individuals are forced to be silent in certain situations, like in terms of house rents and also income, limited incomes. We are forced to like embrace that, like normalize it in a situation whereby it is mirrored down. So in the case of like informing or making it a reality to individuals that like we are the certain economic experiences that are faced by individuals, it tends to portray certain weaknesses that certain Gambians tend to, hide from. So we like there's a study or survey provided by GBOS and the World Bank on the economic realities faced by so many Gambians. So there's a higher proportional line whereby most Gambians are below the poverty line. So they tend to be very vulnerable in so many cases of like daily expenditure. As we all know, the salary condition in the Gambia is so bad. Yeah, normally through the acquisition of jobs, normally the inquiry is based on salary, like the salary focus, rather than the working condition in as an agenda. So I believe that that is part of the things that are being mirrored down and being excluded, and generally suffering is normalized by all Gambians.
All right, thank you for that wonderful elaboration. Moving on to the next question, which is, what are the everyday pressures people quietly carry?
Thank you very much. When we talk about the everyday pressures, basically in the Gambia, people are actually made to understand that you do not have to complain. Like it has to deal with our cultures and then our religion. As human beings or as Gambian, we have that culture whereby you are not expected to complain even when you are suffering. So looking at the situation in the Gambia here, many families are going through a lot. So the pressures we are talking about is family expectation, societal expectation. Let's say as an individual, you are expected to provide for your family. You have your siblings, you have your parents, you have your relatives, and then that hardship or that pressure of having to take care of those people actually leads to depression and then other social issues that people are facing every day. So the pressure keeps on continuing. Let's say for example, as a young man, you've actually finished high school and then let's say you do not have a job. There is unemployment in the country. We all know that. So you are expected to provide for your parents who probably are aging, and then because there is no job, you do not have a job, you can't take care of your parents, you are pressured, and it is you as a gentleman or as a young man expected to provide for them. So that is the pressure people are facing every day. And then the as a woman, you have the pressure of actually meeting certain needs. As a woman, you know that you have to provide for your parents, you have to help your sisters, you also have to get married. So all those pressures are actually things we are facing every day in the Gambia. Thank you. So how pressures can be minimized in various forms. For instance, let's say first, it is the primary role that we as a country needs to do is the government. I think it is the role of the government to ensure that jobs are provided for the youth, for the people, for Gambians. By providing employment opportunities for these people, it actually limits or it reduces that pressure on them. When people are employed, they are earning, they are able to take care of their needs. Obviously, they have little pressure or they have little problems to face with. And another thing is community engagement and collaboration. If people come together, help each other, and then try to solve our problems and then bring our ideas together, by doing so, we can actually tackle some of these pressures we are going through. And another thing is probably we should actually avoid this attitude of judging people based on their situation. So obviously, if there is limit in the judgmental behavior from the people, we can actually address some of these pressures.
Many people are employed, they still cannot provide for their family. What do you have to say?
Well, it's in both ways. First, we have people that are employed. Yes, we must agree that there is a lot of youths that are actually employed. But the real issue is their earnings. Is it actually enough to provide for all their needs? Let's say, as a civil servant, you are receiving a salary of about 5,000 to 6,000. And then let's say you have your kids, you need to take care of your kids that are attending school, you need to pay rent, you need to buy food in the house, and you also have other expenses that you need to take care of. So we do not expect 5,000, 6,000 to actually settle all those needs. So that is the real problem. The little you are earning cannot actually take care or try to address all the economic expenses that you need to take care of. Yeah.
Thank you so much for that. So, to our last, what dreams do young Gambians grow up with?
Thank you, Ajiramu. That's a very tricky one, but also it's something that we are all aware of. In the Gambian context, every child grows dreams of becoming somebody one day. We all dream to be successful, and this could be viewed in two lenses. One, we could see it as succeeding by means of diaspora effect, and other by means of local, as in country. Most young people, if you ask them today, like, what do you want? They want to travel. Yes, so most of us measure our success by means of traveling, leaving the country in search of greener pastures elsewhere, perhaps probably in the West also. And others, it's like, I want to be like that man over there driving the Porsche stuff, having a house, getting married, taking care of my kids, sending them to school, and all that. It's like, I want to be like this and this person working in the government. I want to be an NGO, also be a, how to call it, a top shot in society and all that. And the how to call it, the sad thing is, when these dreams fail, we tend to how to call it, we tend to explore other options that are detrimental, like going to back way, engage exactly. Also, how to call it, engaging in criminal activities, theft, and all that for survival. And yes, like, these are the things that most young Gambians dream of today, in these two lenses: diaspora or local, either be it sports, be it, how to call it, governance, be it being a doctor, being in the medicines, being a technocrat, or all that. Most Gambians, they either dream to, um, how to call it, grow up and live a life they want elsewhere, or either be in the Gambia. But um, the whole idea of it is being someone valuable to society. Thank you.
People right now, and then they will just go to a certain point and say, "I can't go on," you know. Then that would result in a bad way, and then those criminals.
I think as young adults, we could all attest to that. There are times where where we feel the burden, like where we feel that nothing works, nothing around us is working at all. Though there's a saying that says that a journey to 1,000 miles begins with a step, but some also question those steps. Like, how many stairs will I have to climb to reach that level? How many things will I have to do? And I think if you ask me, I would say mostly those that how to call it, age of self realization starts to kick somewhere around your 18s, your 20s. Like, yeah, you're becoming a young adult. You're now having different perspective about on all things. Like, you're starting to see the world differently. You've starting to face challenges. You've been exposed to realities and all that. You have your family out there pressuring you. You have your relatives, your friends, everyone wanting to know what are you engaged in, or what are you going to do about your situation. Lan ngay def, lan nga bëgg a nekk, what la fi teg loo nekk di xaar, and all that. And also in some how to call it, in some households, not necessarily in some households, but in Africa generally, most families, they what we do is we invest in our children, so they in turn would take care of our
But it is
parents.
the responsibility of every parent to take care of their children, whether they give it back or not. Don't you think so?
Yes, that's a fundamental human right. But given the economic situation in Africa, you would realize that having a child is an investment plan.
Yeah.
More.
So
Sorry.
you are saying that every African is now thinking like a businessman.
Yes, sorry to say that, but it's not every African do. But I would say that, how to call it, most in most in most African households, having a child is seen as a retirement plan. Yeah, it's more like a retirement plan. Okay, I would invest in him or her, and after when he grows, he would in turn take care of me. And that's even in our households. We do hear our parents like, danga wara mag nga taking a jàppale ma wala nga toppatoo ma ak sa rakay and all that. And some even make it a gamble. That's the sad thing. Some make it a gamble. You see that out of three or four or five or even two children, they will choose the one to invest in, the one whom they would focus all their resources into. So that when that one makes it in the future, they in turn would also provide for the family. Yeah.
So putting more pressure on the eldest child than any other children. So the rest will be like, so So that's the thing. So to our first guest, what struggles are normalized but never talked about?
That's a good question. So normally, what is the struggles that are normally normalized are the struggles of like emotional pressures faced by every individuals in terms of economy. Sometimes when you will grow up in a family whereby, just like my comrade just highly mentioned, you will have this so much expectation weighing you down, whereby you have a responsibility in the family to fill in, like in terms of helping, like economically, such as purchasing, transportation, and paying of rent, knowing fully well that you have to mask that down, or else if you tend to show that kind of like economic limitations, society tends to portray you as somebody that is weak in a way. That is how we tend to contextualize it in the Gambian context. So normally we tend to hide those things as to mask them so that we can show a sense of strength, because we don't want to go out there. Parce que dañ dee wax ne comme ragal du tekki. That is the phrase used by every Gambian nowadays. So in order to promote strength and show show a sense of pride and capability, we need to mask that down. Even when it comes to we are facing so many economic or emotional, pressures from societal expectations, we tend to hide those expectations by showing strength. So at the end of the day, that tends to affect us both physically and mentally in a way. So I believe that every Gambian has a responsibility, but we shouldn't pressure ourselves. Sometimes a sense of support can help along the way. So we should establish certain mechanisms whereby it will serve as a means of helping us, to deal with this emotionally and physically in a way.
So
Thank you.
behind the phrase "we are Malaysian" is someone who is going through emotional pressure or emotional trauma.
Well, necessarily that's not the case. So it can deal with both sides, emotionally and economically. Sometimes like feeding from hand to mouth can be also be seen as, we are managing or lacking economic resources, whereby, being a breadwinner in the family or living through ends meet, that can be considered as we are managing. Because certain families, you might see everybody happy, acting as everything is okay. Well, down beneath, everything is not right. There are so many struggles that they are going through. You know, Mainly as I said earlier on, such as paying of rent. We all know that nowadays rent is very high, and also the transport issue is also high. The transportation cost is very high in the Gambia. So in order to cover up all of those things, and also school fee is so high now. So, and considering also the salary condition in the Gambia is so little. You can see the average salary, given. Sometimes it's like 3,500. Some people are earning 3,500. In that 3,500, can you really feed a family and pay for school fee, pay for transportation? At the end of the day, even give away allowances. So that is a major difficulties Gambians are trying to manage and cope with. But it's really disheartening in a way. So in order to minimize those struggles, we tend to require support. There should be the salary and the minimum salary wages should be restructured in a way whereby the minimum salary should be at least $9,000, so that at least you can buy so many goods. And we all know that Ramadan is coming. No, that's the thing. The economy is so high. The bag of rice now, they will charge you for $2,000. Oil, cement, even bag of cement now is very high.
These men are dying early right now.
Exactly.
Not just now, but then men have
So-
always been dying early because they cannot handle it.
Exactly.
Can you handle it?
Oh yes, we are trying.
Alright.
So, in order to build a country that is flourishing economically, you need to teach the individuals on how to economize their wealth. But how can they economize their wealth whereby they are living through hand to mouth? So these are the disheartening things. I read a book whereby it is portrayed as the richest man in Babylon, whereby there's an individual there who teaches the community. So in order for a country to be prosperous, the citizens need to be wealthier, so that the government can tax them more and use those taxes to develop that country into a greater good. We can see Dubai, for instance. There are so many countries out there that are even.
Specific. We have a country named Dubai.
Yeah, okay, sorry about that. No, I'm not portraying Brufut Dubai, but I think that's a concept that is misunderstood.
Yeah.
Barrow simply is not talking about Brufut being Dubai, but rather the road construction there, the improvement of the road. From earlier on, we can see that the road before it was narrower than right now. But right now, Alhamdulillah, everything has improved. Under the Barrow administration, which I will give him credit on. But apart from that, Well,
But it is his duty as a president to do that. So
yeah,
I would not give him credit for that. It is his duty.
yeah, it's his duty and responsibility. So, well, it's part of his mandate, but we still have to, be grateful for what he's doing. If, I mean, if
Why
it
should
would,
I be grateful? When I am paying my tax.
well, well,
I am paying my tax.
but still in a way, still,
He should do it.
still in a way, but
So you are saying that the system should be changed.
yes, proper mechanisms such as job opportunities should be, implemented. Gambia, the problem is the narrative that we are living is, as we can say, is nepotism, whereby we tend to employ family members into responsibility or roles they are not, credited for. As you can see, a well qualified individual, coming to apply for a job, but at the end of the day, you will take that particular job and give it to somebody that has no experience in that particular job. So I think that that is, disheartening in the Gambia. I think that's the reason Gambia is not moving forward. We need to eliminate this nepotism that is being, promoted in so many institutions or so many companies. So in order for that to be changed, we need to put in proper, mechanisms whereby we'll employ the right people with the right, mindset and skill set for particular job descriptions, to eliminate all of this, to mitigate all of this. These are the struggles that Gambians are tend to experience. That's why most of these individuals are engaging in the back way, because they think that at the end of the day that will grant them freedom and grant them, economic wealth. Because at the end of it, I can give a reference to, like, you having an elder brother, coming from Europe and coming to the family. At the end of the day, they will prepare food for him to the extent of even putting a flower on top of the food. But
That is happening.
yeah, that is happening here. They will put a flower. They will put this. Well, I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Huh? But the other brother that is staying in the family right now, that is in Gambia, finding jobs but cannot acquire any job matching his job description, is not even catered for, even in terms of lunch. So you'll have to go to the kitchen, linde oye hone, search for all of those things. So at the end of the day, that will promote people going to the back way in order to be, sometimes even in family meetings, the more the person that is like providing economically is being promoted, rather than the other one that is not promoting, providing economically, is being demoted, whereby you'll even want to speak, they will tell you, hey, wait, let this person talk. Because at the end of the day, he's providing for them economically and contributing to the family's development. So, that should not be the case in Gambia. We need to know that everything is time. When your time comes, at the end of the day, you'll bring a huge improvement. So that shouldn't be seen as something that will, we shouldn't be discriminating anyone, or despite not having, the proper jobs to improve a particular family. Then just accept me. God's time is the best, as we normally say. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Uh, Thank you so much for that. So to our next one. Why do Gambians rarely complain despite going through a lot?
Okay. In the Gambia, well, people, you realize that people do not actually complain even when they are going through hardship, economic difficulties. The reason behind this is, as humans in the Gambia here, you have Muslims and Christians living in the country here, and our religion teaches us to be resilient, to be faithful, to believe in God, and then to accept that in life, as human beings, we have to be tested. God will definitely test us. So you are actually made to believe that the challenges we are facing and all the problems ranging from economic, social, they are part of life. So you do not want to complain, and then you realize that complaining, people actually see you as somebody who is very weak, as a failure, as somebody who actually do not have that ability to overcome the challenges you are facing. So that is one of the issues. People do not want to complain, because you trying to complain, it means you are putting pressure on another person. For instance, let's say as a human being or as a Gambian, you are complaining because of economic hardship, but probably the people you are complaining to, they are also going through similar challenges. So at some point, people will become fed up listening to your stories because they will feel like do you already negative face these problems. So that is one of the issues. Another thing is culturally, our culture actually teaches us to be people who actually will stand when we are tested, people who actually will try to feel that test is part of life and you do not have to complain because complaining will not actually address the issue. So what you have to do is to stand up, try to face it, and then work towards achieving your goals. So complaining is definitely not the solution in the Gambia here. And I think as Gambians, we should try to come together and then understand that as we are facing this problem, it requires collective effort, collective collaboration, coming together, finding solutions, finding ways we can actually address this problem. So yeah, that's it.
So then what those money?
Like my colleague rightly mentioned, it's a common term in the Gambia here. You ask someone, "How are you doing?" Nanga the person will just say, I'm managing." But the truth is, the person is not okay. Like you're saying it because definitely, like it's connected to what I said earlier. You don't want to complain. You don't want people to see you as somebody who is weak or as a failure. So you hide behind "I am managing," but behind this thing is somebody who is actually sacrificing a lot. Let's say you have your kids that are actually going to that needs to go to school. So probably as a father, you do not have the economic strength to actually send them all to school. So what you do is you send at least one or two, or probably you send a boy and a girl to school, and then the rest will have to learn skills or do something else. And then as a mother, you are managing your life daily. For instance, you wake up early in the morning, you go to the market, and then try to sell your goods. So with the little you have, you try to with the little you are earning, you try to address or try to solve a lot of problems. Let's say you are earning daily $400 or $500 from your sales. So from that little you are earning, you have to provide lunch, you have to provide dinner, you have to give school fees to the students, lunch, and then you also have to pay transport from the place where you actually do your business. So do you think that that 400 can actually settle or can address all those things? No, it can't. So that is what we mean by we are managing. You are managing with the little you are having. You are trying to cope with it and then try to solve a lot of problems with that little money, even though it seems impossible. But Gambians are trying to do that.
So much for that. So I always love your talks, honestly. Yes. So when does resilience become exhaustion?
Thank you. I think resilience becomes exhaustion when you see your age mates doing better than you in this country. Yes. Not only that, but also like in our households, we also have very resilient parents and all that, whom you know that like they carry lots of burden, like there's lots of pressure in their on their back, lots of like they have to deal with all sorts of things, but also um within that resilience, they also learn to manage. I'm trying to connect the dots between with my two colleagues here. Yes. So they also try to manage in the sense that even with economic hardship, they always strive to move forward. Even with the inflation, we've seen prices like raising periodically in this country, but still our parents always provide. We always find food on our tables each and every day, and this has to come with how to call it the in terms of rice, the how to call it oil, price of sugar, all these things, and these are basic things that like every Gambian consumes daily, and also in another sense also we also see our parents like they would they will sacrifice everything for us to have what we need for us to meet our needs. You will see like Edward justly said, not even our parents, but also you would see I won't use his example per se, but I would borrow some part of it. You you would see how to call it, most people going to the kitchen trying to scrape the pots and all that and all that. And even at times like you would see parents would provide, but they won't be the ones to eat the most of it. They will provide the best part for you, and in turn they will just go to the pot and consume whatsoever is left in there. Like these these are stories of hardship. These are stories of hardship. These are, I think, if we have to um how to call it, look for a better meaning of resilience, then there's no better way of explaining it, or rather understanding it in terms of our daily hurdles, in terms of our experiences, the challenges we face, not just the challenges we face, but also how we overcome those challenges. Because that's the purpose of living. That's the purpose of being resilient. Not just you, how to call it, not just you giving into your troubles, but also finding alternative measures to overcome them, finding solutions to it, and all that. Yes, and also to talk on some things that were mentioned. Uh, I'll also want to bring to your attention that just yesterday the Point newspaper has published that the Attorney General has how to call it, rightly mentioned that the Gambia is living on borrowed money. The Gambia, like, cause our debt is. Yes, we have debts to pay and lots of this, and though we have performing sectors, but also another thing that hinders development is um, corruption. Is corruption, because corruption. One thing we should know is that it undermines accountability and transparency, and also hinders good governance and development. And when there's corruption, it also have effects. One of the effects it has is in the provision of basic needs, like public services. I would say, if institutions entrusted with providing public services like healthcare, education, electricity, and all this are corrupt, then it also how to call it, it will also affect the citizens' access to those basic services. And what will happen is that will hinder good governance and development to start with, and it will also how to call it, provide alternative means of access to those services, as in alternative means, as in we paying bribes to access basic services that are fundamental rights that exactly all these things. Yes, exactly, exactly. Like you, those are the alternative means we are talking about. Like at times you would, in terms of IDs and passport, they would, there's this thing called urgent. Like yes, extra. Yeah, exactly. Though there's there's how to call it, there's a very clean and legitimate process, legal, I would say, process to obtain an urgent ID card or passport. But you would have to declare your urgency, and they would have to review it and all that. But nowadays, even I could go and pay for an urgent ID card. I won't even write or nothing. I'll just go and give someone something, and they will, in turn, will make a would fast track the process in in terms of me needing it urgently and all that. But also we've seen people who've been going out and about for months without having having access to those how to call it, those documents, and these are things that they've paid for. Exactly. And when that also happens, it also erodes public trust in these institutions. It erodes trust on government officials, trust on public officials. And just recently, um, we've also seen allegations coming forth, allegations that the how to call it, is it something manga? A commissioner, I think commissioner in anti-corruption commissioner, something like that, is being alleged that alleged that he's been involved in corruption, in corrupt practices. Like, it's not the facts are not yet there, but also if an institution like this could be associated with such, then already people have already starting to question the integrity of that institution. People have already starting to question the integrity of officials in that institution. And mind you, this might be false. This might be false, but also just the allegation has caused damage, and restoring that trust would also come with greater challenges. Yeah. I think in Wolof saying, what the Wolof has a fancy word for it, like jambar, understand jambar nga, and all that. And people, some people like going to back then, in back to history, in the African context, in African traditional societies, strength was something that that people didn't joke with, and even in your most down days, you are expected to how to call it, come out bold, come out strong, and that also has a lot to do with mental health. It also has a lot to do with mental hygiene, I would call it. Exactly, I would call it. And also, it's not just how to call it, not just um, being bold or all that, being necessarily bold or being necessarily courageous or confident as an individual. Is um, it reflects to what is expected of you, like society's expectation, societal expectations of from an individual, what you are expected to do, what you are how you are expected to show up, like your with the responsibilities you are expected to meet, and all that. If you are if you are an elder from a family, an elderly person from a family, you are expected to have your own source of income, not just not just any means of income, but a strong means of income, something that could sustain you and your family. And what that people do not want to know what you go through. People do not want to know what you go through to in search of these things. All they are interested is you providing result. You provide a result. They don't want to know what you are engaged into. They don't want to know how by what means do you have access to whatsoever you are bringing in. All they want to see is results. And whenever you fail to provide, then critics will come. And um, it's basic human psychology that people do not want to be seen as, people do not want to be belittled. People do not want to be belittled. And even there's this great scholar, Abraham Maslow, who um, ga- provided a hierarchy of needs, and in that pyramid, you would see that there's self realization, self actualization in it, and it has to say that when human beings, after having their basic needs, they now would tend to how to call it, impress the other people, the other person. They'll now tend to um, impress people like society, so that they would feel belonged. They will feel belonged, and they would do whatever it is necessary to have that to reach that stage of self actualization, where they now believe that they've achieved whatsoever they have, and um, that for that reason, like, because we always have critics in society, and I would not I won't sorry to say that, but to say this, but society in most cases is judgmental, or we always have things to say, we are always having fingers to point at, and um, one wrong move, with just one wrong move, it they would now generalize everything, and these are the reasons, some of the reasons why people do not how to call it, do not bend the knee, I would say. People, while people do not ask for help, people do not ask for support, but because at the end of the day, they having in mind that, like, aksibir suma suñ jotee dina ma ko ameel, dina dem waxee ji ko feneen, like, munut ma sutural, understand nga. People, it has a thing to do with trust. It has a thing to do with trust. People do not trust others. People do not trust people in that land, that they would ask for support, and this is not just economical. This is also like for mental support, emotional support, and all that. It also comes, not necessary. At times, it's not even like you need, how to call it, you need someone to be there emotionally for you or financially for you, but you would just need someone's advice, so you could continue from the next step. But because of pride, or because of having second thoughts of what they would think of you, or what they would um whether they could keep it between the two of you, or how they would see you. Because of all these things, we now tend to keep things to ourselves and fight our own battles. Exactly. Dafa fàtte ne xam naa ko. And at times what funnily enough, at times we like signal the person in public. Danga fàtte ne man xam naa. You know. So these are the things, like, these are reasons why people do not prefer why people prefer strength to support. Yeah.